Why was Pandora opening the box the beginning of all evil? 1. Greek mythology. The story of Pandora is a narrative from Greek mythology that explains the origin of evil in the world. Greek mythology is full of fascinating stories that teach us about human nature and the challenges we face. The story of Pandora is one such story that makes us reflect on our choices and their consequences. The ancient Greeks believed that the gods, in their own form of justice, created Pandora not only as a gift, but also as a form of punishment for humanity. This makes us wonder, to what extent are the challenges we face in life the result of our own actions or of forces beyond our control? The figure of Pandora represents this duality, being both a symbol of beauty and misfortune. 2. Creation of Pandora. Pandora was created by the gods as a gift for humans, but also as a form of punishment. Pandora was not just an ordinary woman. She was shaped in the image of the gods, each of whom contributed specific characteristics. Aphrodite gave her beauty, Athena wisdom, and Hermes cunning. However, this idealized creation had a dark purpose. The gods, seeing humanity's growing happiness, decided that a balance was needed. Here we can see an important lesson. Happiness and pain often go hand in hand. If everything were perfect, we might never appreciate the small joys in life. This creation is a reminder that even in moments of celebration, we must be aware of the pitfalls that can arise. B. Pandora's box. The famous box, which was actually a jar, contained all of humanity's ills. What Pandora received was not exactly a box as we know it today, but a jar that contained all of the world's ills. This confusion between box and jar is more than a matter of terminology. It is a powerful metaphor. The jar symbolizes the fragility of life, where problems and challenges are always lurking, ready to be released. Throughout our lives, we also carry our own jars, full of fears, insecurities, and sadness. What we can learn from this is that, often, what we keep inside us can be more dangerous than we imagine. Chaos. Curiosity and disobedience. Pandora, upon receiving the box, was warned not to open it, but her curiosity led her to disobey. Here, we encounter a central issue of the human experience: curiosity. It is natural to want to know what is hidden, but often this search for knowledge can have unexpected consequences. By opening the jar, Pandora not only released evils, but also symbolized the internal struggle between following rules and seeking the truth. At times in my own life, I have found myself faced with difficult choices, trying to weigh up curiosity and obedience. This duality is something we all face to some degree. 5. The deliverance of evil. When the box was opened, all evils, such as sickness, sadness, and misery, escaped into the world. When Pandora released the evils, she did not do so intentionally. Pain, sadness, and illness spread throughout the world, affecting the lives of every human being. This scene makes us reflect on how, in our own lives, we often face difficulties that seem to come out of nowhere. It is important to remember that, like Pandora, we are all susceptible to situations that can lead us away from the path to happiness. Life is full of challenges, and learning to face them is part of our personal growth. See hope inside the box. However, at the bottom of the box, hope remained, offering solace and relief to humans. Despite all the evils having escaped, the presence of hope at the bottom of the jar is a crucial point in the narrative. Hope is what keeps us going, even in the darkest moments. In my spiritual journey, I have learned that even in the most difficult situations, it is always possible to find a light, a perspective that gives us the strength to move forward. This hope is a reminder that, even though suffering is part of life, we should never lose sight of the possibility of better days. Symbolic interpretation. The story symbolizes the fragility of the human condition and the challenges of life. The narrative of Pandora is a reflection on the human condition. We all face challenges and adversities, and this story helps us understand that we are not alone. The fragility of life is something that unites us, and recognizing this can bring us a sense of community and empathy. When we encounter difficulties, remember that these experiences are part of our growth. Just like Pandora, we are all constantly learning. 8. Cultural legacy. The expression "opening Pandora's box" has become a metaphor for actions that can trigger unintended consequences, and irreversible. The metaphor of Pandora's box has resonated through the centuries and has become a common expression in many cultures. It reminds us that our actions have consequences and that often what seems harmless can result in serious complications. It is an invitation to reflect on how we act in our daily lives and the repercussions that our decisions can have. Throughout my life, I have learned the importance of considering before acting, always remembering that behind every choice there is a world of possibilities and consequences. Creation of Pandora. The creation of Pandora is a fascinating story that reveals a lot about the relationship between the gods and humans in Greek mythology. When the gods created Pandora, they were in a way trying to balance the scales between good and evil. She was sculpted by Hephaestus, the god of fire and metallurgy, who, under the guidance of Zeus, gave shape to this enchanting woman. Pandora's beauty was just one of her characteristics. She also possessed skills and qualities that made her irresistible. The gods endowed her with charm, intelligence, and grace, creating a figure that symbolized both seduction and human weakness. It is intriguing to think that Pandora was, in some ways, a response to Prometheus's disobedience. Prometheus, known for defying the gods by stealing fire to give to humanity, brought great benefit but also incurred divine wrath. Thus, Zeus decided to create Pandora as a form of retribution. In my view, this story teaches us about the consequences of actions that, at first glance, may seem benign. Like a carefully wrapped gift, Pandora arrived on Earth as a symbol of beauty, but also of warning. Ultimately, the creation of Pandora invites us to reflect on the dualities of life. What seems like a gift can turn into a challenge, and curiosity, although a gateway to knowledge, can also be the key to chaos. This story teaches us to seek a balance between exploring the unknown and respecting the limits that are imposed on us. The story of Pandora, therefore, remains relevant, serving as a reminder that we are co-creators of our destiny, even in the face of adversity that may arise. 3. Pandora's box. Pandora's box was actually a jar, and this confusion is quite common. The story teaches us about human curiosity and its consequences. When Pandora received this jar, she had no idea what was to come. The gods, in creating her, brought together not only beauty, but also a burden that, in a way, we all carry. You know, it's interesting to think about how curiosity, our desire to know more, can be both a blessing and a curse. When Pandora finally gave in to temptation and opened the jar, she didn't know that she was releasing all the evils that would plague humanity. Disease and sadness, misery, and all kinds of suffering escaped and spread throughout the world. This makes me reflect on how, in our daily lives, we often let ourselves be carried away by curiosity and end up getting ourselves into complicated situations. How many times have we heard that famous phrase, "I just wanted to know," and then found ourselves faced with consequences we never imagined? This is a hallmark of the human experience. Finally, the story of Pandora and her jar is a reminder that even when we face adversity, we can always seek hope. This is a message that transcends generations and remains relevant, especially for those of us who have lived through a variety of experiences and challenges. Life, with its uncertainties, invites us to embrace this hope and find meaning in the difficulties that come our way. In the end, what really matters is how we choose to respond to challenges and how we can, together, cultivate this hope in our communities. 4. Curiosity and disobedience. Pandora's story is marked by an intriguing element, curiosity. When she received the box, or rather the jar, from the gods, she was given a clear warning: do not open it. This instruction, however, becomes one of the most fascinating points of the narrative. Why such uncontrollable curiosity? What leads a person to defy such an explicit order? Curiosity is an intrinsic characteristic of human beings. From a young age, we are driven to explore, question, and discover the world around us. This search for knowledge is what drives us to grow and evolve. But, as we can see in the story of Pandora, this same curiosity can have disastrous consequences. By disobeying the divine order, Pandora not only awakened all evils, but also became a symbol of the fragility of human nature. If I may share a personal reflection, I often realize in my own life how curiosity can be a double-edged sword. There are times when I let myself be carried away by the desire to know more, to understand things in depth, and this leads me to enriching experiences. However, I have also faced situations in which this same curiosity has gotten me into trouble. A simple "why not?" can trigger a series of events that I never imagined. This shows us that curiosity, although valuable, must be balanced with prudence. Therefore, when dealing with curiosity, may we learn from Pandora's lesson. May we balance the search for knowledge with caution, avoiding opening boxes whose contents may be more than we can handle. The lessons of Greek mythology are not just ancient stories, they help us better understand ourselves and the nature of life. 5. Liberation of evils. The liberation of evils from Pandora's box is a pivotal moment in the narrative of Greek mythology, and its importance goes far beyond what one might imagine. By opening the box, Pandora not only released illness and sadness, but also set in motion a series of events that shaped the human experience. This act of curiosity and disobedience generated an avalanche of consequences that still resonate in our daily lives. When I talk about the liberation of evils, I think of the idea that all of us, at some point, have faced challenges that seem to have come out of nowhere. Think about how, in our lives, small acts of recklessness can lead to big problems. The story of Pandora teaches us that curiosity, while an essential quality for learning and growth, can also get us into tricky situations. Sometimes, the search for answers or something new makes us disregard warnings. As adults, we know that life is full of traps, and the ability to discern between what we should and should not explore is essential. In short, the liberation of evils through Pandora's curiosity is a powerful lesson about the risks of disobeying warnings and the consequences of our actions. However, it is also a reminder that hope, even in the midst of suffering, can be a transformative force. As we reflect on this narrative, we are invited to consider our own lives. How do we deal with our challenges? How do we find hope in difficult times? These questions are fundamental to our spiritual and personal journey. After all, as I have said, life is a balance between light and shadow, and it is up to us to seek the light, even when the shadow seems dominating. 6. Hope inside the box. Pandora's story does not end with the liberation of evils, but brings a fundamental element that is often overshadowed by the destruction caused by her curiosity: hope. This hope, which was trapped at the bottom of the box, is a valuable gift that reminds us that, even in the face of difficulties and adversity, there is always a light that can guide us. When I reflect on life and the trials we all face, I realize that hope is a powerful force. It is not just a passing feeling, but an attitude that allows us to face challenges with courage and resilience. The idea that even when all seems lost, there is still a spark of hope that keeps us going and inspires us to keep fighting. In mythology, hope is often seen as a form of consolation. When Pandora opened the box and released all evils, it is as if humanity had been flooded by a whirlwind of misfortunes. However, the presence of hope at the bottom of the box suggests that, despite all the difficulties, we have the ability to rise again. This duality is essential to understanding the human condition. No matter how dark the situation may seem, there is always the possibility of renewal and overcoming. In short, the hope that remained in Pandora's box is a reminder that even in the face of the greatest challenges, we must not lose faith in better days. This hope is an invitation to embrace life with optimism and openness, knowing that, even after the storm, there will always be a new dawn. Therefore, as we face our own evils, may we make hope our ally. guiding us through the darkness and leading us to a brighter future. 7. Symbolic interpretation. The story of Pandora and her box, or jar, is not just an ancient tale from Greek mythology. It resonates deeply with the existential questions we face in our daily lives. The symbolic interpretation of this narrative reveals a lot about the human condition and the challenges we all face. When we talk about the fragility of the human condition, it is impossible not to reflect on how we are impacted by our choices. Pandora's curiosity, which led her to open an object that should have remained closed, is a reflection of our own nature. Often, the search for knowledge or truth can have consequences that we do not foresee. The actions we take, even which us when motivated by a genuine desire to understand or discover, can result in developments that affect us in profound and lasting ways. I can recall times in my life when I was driven by curiosity, wanting to know more about something that was perhaps best left alone. The sense of openness that we seek can, in some situations, bring to the surface difficulties that we were not ready to face. Just like Pandora, we too can release evils that are difficult to control. This leads us to think about the responsibility we have in our daily choices. Therefore, as you contemplate the story of Pandora, I invite you to meditate on your own choices and the lessons that life has to offer. After all, even though all evils may arise, hope will always be within our reach, ready to be discovered and cultivated. 8. Cultural legacy. The cultural legacy of the story of Pandora is so profound that it still reverberates in our days, even centuries after its origin in Greek mythology. When we talk about opening Pandora's box, we are not only referring to an act of reckless curiosity, but also to a reflection on the consequences of our actions. This expression has become a powerful metaphor in many areas of life, from personal to political and social decisions. The first thing that comes to mind is how this story applies to everyday situations. All of us, at some point, have been faced with decisions that seem harmless, but that can trigger a series of unexpected events. Sometimes, a simple choice can lead to results that we never imagined. This is especially true in uncertain times, such as the ones we are currently living in, where information circulates quickly and decisions must be made with caution. In addition, Pandora's legacy teaches us about the duality of life. The story does not end with the release of evils, but brings to light the presence of hope that was trapped in the box. This is crucial because it shows that even in the darkest situations, there is always the possibility of renewal and healing. Hope is a recurring theme in many cultures and religions, and Pandora's story reminds us that, although we face adversity, we are never completely devoid of light. In short, Pandora's story transcends time and offers us valuable lessons about human curiosity, the struggle against evil, and the relentless search for hope. The cultural legacy she leaves is an invitation for us to navigate life's ups and downs with wisdom and compassion together.